Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another and very special edition of Mentor Monday. I'm Morgan Boykin, volunteer with SC Codes, and I am so excited for today's edition. I think you are going to walk away with a ton of knowledge, not only about just the tech industry. Very special guest, Mr. Desmond Wiggin, who is on the line and excited about sharing his story with you. A little bit of background first about SC Codes. For those of you who are new to our platform and to our channel, welcome. SC Codes is a free resource for residents in South Carolina who are interested in learning more about coding or learning to code. So you can join our platform totally free, take courses, be paired with a mentor, learn more about careers in tech, get connected to support in careers with tech, and walk away with a tool belt of support and resources to propel you to either a career change or a new career in general. So if you would like to learn more about SC Codes, please visit our website after our talk today. Reach out to me, reach out to Katie, who is our program director, and learn more about how to plug into this awesome resource for South Carolina residents. So those of you who are not new to our platform know that we host these Mentor Monday series every Monday, almost every Monday, where we highlight a mentor, a volunteer, a tech community person to share insights into their story, into the tech community as a whole, and how to maybe bridge the gap between where you are and where they are, and some lesson learned and that kind of thing. So I'm really excited to introduce you to today's feature. Again, Mr. Desmond Wiggin. He is the co-founder and CEO of BatteryXchange, which he will tell you more about as we dive in. A little bit of background about Desmond. He is a graduate of Winston-Salem State University, which is a phenomenal historically Black college and university in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So definitely a shout out to all the HBCUs across the country, especially during this month. And also a graduate of Fort Hays State University, where he received his MBA. So tons of knowledge there for us to pull from this evening. I'm so excited for him to share with you more about his journey, especially in tech, but also his educational background and how that kind of led to where he is now. So without any further delay, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Desmond, who I don't know if he's on my left or right, but he's here. So hello, Desmond. How are you?
I am doing well. I am doing well. The sun came out, so I'm feeling pretty good. It was a little gloomy this morning, so ending the day on a good note.
Awesome. Well, we're glad that you're ending the day with us, ending the day with sharing some knowledge with us. So if it's okay with you, I would love to just jump right in with you telling us a little bit about yourself. I know I touched briefly on your education, but would love to hear more about that. Passion for tech, just kind of your background in general and who you are.
Oh yeah, totally. So I always lead with this because it's super new. I'm a new dad. So me and my wife, thank you. Me and my wife, we just had his name's Jonah Wiggin. We had him 6 months ago. So that has definitely changed my entire dynamic of being a founder and then now a dad. So just I'm loving that journey. But I was born in Bronx, New York, and then came down to Charlotte in middle school. And so I always feel like I had a best of both worlds where the hustle and bustle of that, New York mentality of like, you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, but also coming down south and really understanding, relationships and how important that is, then Southern hospitality. And so through that, I ran track and field all the way through college. So I was able to get a full track and field scholarship to Winston-Salem State, where I studied business management and, pledged Alpha Phi Alpha there as well. And then I was able to move into the corporate space, started working for Pepsi right after that for a few years, and, just kind of grew through the whole corporate ladder thing. And then just being a millennial, I was just like, man, I think I want to do something else, and so I was always exposed to entrepreneurship because my dad was a business owner. My granddad of Jamaican descent was a business owner, not by choice, by just what he had to kind of figure out. And I started to look after a few years of corporate. I wanted to get my MBA and I wanted to travel and see the world. And so I found an amazing opportunity through Fort Hays State, which allowed me to study abroad in China. So I actually spent about 2 years. I did a semester at Fort Hayes, and just really got a lot of exposure to entrepreneurship. I was in a new, at the time, program in the entrepreneurial and tech space in Kansas, which was really cool. And then just immersing myself in China, I felt like the tech community in China was super, super advanced. So, just really got some really, really good exposure. Went between like Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, just a few different markets. And then ended up coming into a situation that I'll talk about, when we talk about BatteryXchange, where we started, the company. But that's a little bit of my journey. And my passion for tech is I've always loved when people could see problems in the space or the market space or whatever, and figure out a more convenient way to do something. And I feel like that's how we kind of came up with our concept. So I was always big on solving problems, and technology just is a more efficient and convenient way to do that. So I've always loved technology.
That is awesome and such a in-depth background. And I'm glad that you were able to touch on a bunch of points that I want to dive into a little bit deeper. Also wanted to mention, so it looks like your screen paused just a little bit, and I want to make sure everybody can see. I'm seeing if it was on my end as well. But it looks like you froze just a bit, but we could still hear you audio perfect. So all that good info is still there. I'm going to check here and see. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, we're checking to see if we can move things around a bit. There we go. Perfect.
Can you see me now? Am I moving?
Yes, you're back. Awesome.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect. Okay, great. So I want to kind of dive into, everyone is saying, yay, awesome. Okay, I want to kind of dive into BatteryXchange a little bit too. So walk us through just where it came from, what you guys are up to now, some of the accomplishments that you guys have had. So a little bit of background. I met Desmond working in nonprofit and have loosely followed the story and just kept up with some of the exciting things that he's done. So I'm super excited for you to share just the whole journey and where you guys are now.
Yeah, totally. So actually, I guess it's 2.5 years now. So my now co-founder, Aubrey Yaboa, was in the Fort Hayes program as well. And we were actually in China, and we did so much traveling. We would take a bunch of photos and, do the whole ordeal because it was a new land to us. And again, immersing ourselves in the culture.
Yeah.
And one particular day, we, were wanting to go home, through utilizing, they call it DD. So it's just like Uber. So a sharing economy platform. And our cell phones, like his was dead, mine was at 5%. And, it was that moment of just like, man, how am I supposed to be connected to, my loved ones? What if I don't make it? We're in this foreign land, it's just so many what ifs. And then, we had this light bulb moment of like, why wasn't there a more convenient way for us to charge our cell phone while we're on the go if we don't keep a charger with us? And so literally that night, actually we went, and just because me and him had shared so many stories of things that we wanted to come up with, and we said, hey, we're coming back to America with a business, because we shared cultural backgrounds of, building a legacy, building something from scratch. And so it was that moment that propelled us to like starting to look into, concepts and products that we could kind of come up with. And we saw some things that worked in the China ecosystem as well. And so utilize some of the networks that I had built in the manufacturing world and technology world, and literally got something developed, came back to America after that last semester, and then started just putting it out into the market. So, quote unquote, what you hear a lot of times in the startup world is building a minimum viable product. So we built a minimum viable product, put it out into the market, and just started testing it out, started to see if people would pay for it. And if people were paying for it, people just really loved it. We were doing a lot of things in the event space, so we were going and partnering with large conferences, conventions, festival up along the East Coast, anywhere from, all around North Carolina to DC to Atlanta, Miami. Well, 2020 Super Bowl in Miami, we did a big event down there. So again, we were just putting that out into the market, and building the team as we went. And then COVID hit, and so we had to kind of figure out how we were able to kind of continue to push through. And I guess I didn't even talk about what the concept is. So
Yeah, I was gonna say.
yeah, sorry. BatteryXchange is it's a rental platform where we provide on-demand portable batteries for cell phone users. So consider it like the bike or the scooter rental platforms in the sharing economy. But in essence, we just allow people to rent portable batteries from our kiosk machines. Same application that allows you to see where the kiosk machines are, scan a QR code, get access to a portable battery. Then you get to keep it for up to 4 hours. And then you return it to any kiosk machine within the system. And so just started building that because we started to see that we could connect people to the world, right, in order to keep them connected, businesses to customers, and then communities to information, because we have a digital screen that allows us to populate information and resources to different communities. So been building it since 2019. Built a really dynamic team. We have about 7 individuals, like, on the team, and then we have some part-time, freelance people that we kind of work with. We raised 200K over the last year and a half from angel investors. We've also done a crowdfunding campaign to bring in some investors as well. And then 2021 is looking like a good year. We're already placed 4 kiosk machines in the month of January in some really cool restaurant halls, some bars, some restaurants, some co-working spaces. So that's kind of what we built over the last 2 years.
That is incredible, and congratulations on so much success so quickly. So I'm thinking too, obviously, as we're in Black History Month and just kind of where we are in the state of the country, and I'm realizing the importance of minority, Black especially, voices in all spaces, but especially where we may be underrepresented. I am curious about any experiences that you may have had as a startup business leader, as someone in tech, just in general, or just in forming the company that you think may be exclusive or unique to your experience as an African-American male. Or if not, then that's totally cool too. But I'm just curious if there's been any spaces that you have been in where you've really reflected on who you are in business.
Yeah, man, that's a heavy question, to be honest. And it's one that, it's a day in a life that I have to, kind of, whether it's conversations or interactions or just really understanding how to build a business. There's so many facets that are really important. But I think one of the unfortunate things on a systemic level is, the founder of a tech company is kind of seen as like this white male that is an Ivy League grad and like an engineer, and it's just like, if you don't kind of fit that mold, there's these other layers of preconceived biases and opinions about that individual, where it just really boils down to that individual not filling up to this mold of what the founder is supposed to be like. And we live it. You see different statistics of funding or just opportunities and resources that aren't given to this African American community of led founders and stuff, and it's just unfortunate. But I was actually thinking about this the other day. It's like I don't know if you play sports or anything like that, but when you're like maxing out, when you're like lifting weights, right, you get to a point to where you put weight on that you feel like you can do, but it's really your extremities, like you're really like at your optimum level. And it's kind of like being an African American founder. It's just like at the last minute, people just throw like 20, 30 pounds on it, and then like that's all you can think about. Those are the biases and the preconceived opinions. And it's just like unfortunate because, when I'm in conversations or I'm going to pitch, those are tense moments where I'm coming here to sell my company. I'm coming here to say, this is why I feel like I'm the best person. But there's layers, especially the environment that I'm in. And it's typically, judges panel all white males or all white individuals. And it's just like they're thinking different things about me just because I'm Black, and you feel it, like where do they come from, what type of university, do they have the right education, do they have the right skill set, are they able to execute on these things? And I feel like there's these opinions or things that come into the mindset that block out, is this individual the right person to run this business? And I feel like individuals, counterparts that look like me, don't have to go through those as much, because they fit the mold, and it's just like unfortunate. And then I felt like some of the things that I see with these networks are, a lot of these systems are, set up where individuals are able to thrive. If you're a Stanford grad or like, Harvard or one of these big schools, like, as long as you have an idea, like there's already resources and then a network where you can leverage in order to get through. But, when you come through communities like myself or just like, African American communities, there's not the same level of resources and networks in order to like scale through. And that's why we don't see enough successful companies, because that structure and that foundation, that network, the resources aren't really the same, but I still have to push through as African American founder, the same, right, quote unquote, but it's not the same playing field. So it's quite difficult.
I can only imagine, and I know learners on our platform and just people in general from the greater community who are watching, especially African American or any minority, can definitely agree with a lot of the points in what you just said, and in connecting that to our platform. So a lot of the people who connect with SC codes, who are looking for those coding skills, are people who are coming not necessarily with the same toolkit, I guess, as every other coder or people who are seeking coding or tech jobs, but they're getting these resources from from a different source, like from us or from different community organizations that are providing those resources. So in obviously not in every way, but in a lot of ways, they can really relate to just kind of being looked at differently or with maybe preconceived notions by employers. So I'm curious what your advice would be to those learners on our platform who are coming to the platform with a different set of experiences and a different toolkit that makes them just as job ready, and just as qualified, but maybe just from a different lens. Any advice for those learners? And I'll add that I think your camera is pausing just again, so maybe if you could come back in, that would be great.
Yeah, as we talk about technology, and my technology is just like not the best, but
no, that's I think 2020. I think technology is just like technology needs a break from all of us this year.
Right. But to answer your question, and hopefully you're at least hearing me clearly. It's just probably frozen.
Yes.
But
Perfect audio.
Cool. I think some of the things that are needed, because I've worked with organizations such as yourself, that build skill sets for individuals coming from different spaces. I think you always really have to go into your toolkit, because like at the end of the day, you're selling yourself. So what is a skill set that can be brought from retail, or we'll say accounting, or these different endeavors that allow you to apply them to the technical aspect of things? Because a lot of times it's not just the hard skill that gets you in the door. It's like the overarching person. Even when I'm interviewing people now, like I don't just look for the skill set. I look for, what else they're kind of bringing in that experience. I think you probably have a lot of individuals with, many years of like experience across different industries, and, just how can you bring that a part of the conversation on applying that to this new opportunity, and like being able to problem solve and showcasing that, and I think that, a lot of employers will be I'm gonna say lenient, but I don't mean that in like a bad way. It's just like they'll open up their ears to where, because you open up how you think, to the employers versus just like this hard skill. I think another thing that kind of just builds confidence is just really understanding that you're enough. Like you've gone through a program, you've gotten a skill set that it may not be like others, but if you put in the time, right, you still have to put in the time to understand and like be able to whiteboard and like execute and do different things. But I think that just having that confidence in like, hey, I've invested a certain amount of time in this skill set, and now I'm gonna, apply this to this environment. Everything is not going to be for you, but a lot of times, when it's for you, everything will kind of, lean into the right opportunities for you. And then another thing that might not be as hard on the technical side, but I think that one of the things I learned is like network and relationships is still key. Technical sound or like not, like at the end of the day, putting yourself out there, getting into spaces where you could be top of mind, top of conversations, and so that the opportunities get presented to you, I think is an important thing. And if you're not doing that, you got to find a way to do it, because the next person is probably doing that, if not more, and so I think, again, just that confidence, whatever you could do to bring this whole experience that you have from different industries into funneling into this new opportunity, and just really understanding that you're enough. Like, you have a skill set, just continue to build that up and continue to see how you could, present that in the best way possible.
That is fantastic advice. And I'm seeing that there are people who this is really resonating with. So thank you for sharing that for our learners, and just in general of that messaging that you're enough with whatever you're bringing to the table. Totally agree with that. Thinking, kind of bouncing back to you as a business owner and a founder, I would like to dig in, and I think you touched on it briefly, but just from a technical perspective, what do you think were some key skills in launching your business? And also from a technical perspective, can you talk about who works at BatteryXchange? Like, what are people doing who work there, who are like your tech people? Because I know you're kind of leading at this point, but I'd like to dig through who those people are too and how they support you.
Yeah, so great question. And like, that's a big part of our success, like our team, to be honest. But I think you just got to be a quick learner at everything, to be honest. So the technical side of things, when you think about the product, the strategy side, team building, all these different facets kind of come together. But I think really understanding the strength of digital analytics, and because in essence that's getting the product out there, and then just really understanding the data that leads to what direction you need to go to. So that was a skill set that I learned over time. Me and my co-founder learned over time, and then I think one of the things that I valued in being exposed to communities like yourself is just understanding the different languages of code, and just being able to, like, pull and potentially oversee that, because there was a point in time where I had to be our CTO because we had to, part ways with the individual, and then I had to oversee development. I had to learn about the different questions that need to be asked and how to analyze. I got thrown source code, right? And we had to figure out, what was the next step, and just different things like that, that if I didn't have that exposure previously, it would have been a lot more difficult. And then even if, like, along the way, having that network and that support of advisors or individuals that you can lean on that say like, hey, I don't really know what this is, like, explain it to me. And then that's where you just got to be a quick learner to just really be able to understand it, digest it, and then articulate it to the individuals to execute on, right? And then I think another part that's super big for us is like the product side, testing, development, just the whole engineering side of it is really important. And then another thing that I'm loving is just really analyzing data, and just like, as we're getting users and we're getting traction and we're getting all these different things, like, how can you kind of analyze that and then pretty much articulate that to business owners, to investors, to like individuals that are coming to support you. And so in all that, we now have, I do have a CTO that, great experience, does the development or manages the development of the software, the mobile application, our website, the backend platform, all those facets. But that also correlates with the product side of things. And so we do have we have a product developer that kind of manages that process. And then we also have like testing engineer that, just make sure that our product works when it comes in, and then, just kind of understanding the different metrics and, different things that need to happen and for us to put the battery out into the market. And then we have more on the sales and operations side, individuals that kind of manage that space. And then me and my co-founder, again, like you said, we just do whatever needs to be done. But I have to oversee the development aspect. I have to oversee the product side of things. I still oversee the marketing and like the strategy and the investment side. So it's yeah, man, you just got to find time to figure out how they all go together.
That is awesome. And so staying in your hat as chief visionary and leader. So I'm curious too, and I'm throwing this one to you. We have learners who come to our platform and are getting these skills. So when you're sitting in your hat as CEO and co-founder, someone coming to you who is a coder, is a developer, what are some things that you're looking for when deciding to bring them on the team? Like, what are some things that stand out to you either in the interview or in the portfolio, or just some tools that they may have that you're like, oh, I need them to be a part of this?
Yeah, I think the way you think about solving problems. So I have a few questions. I don't remember them right now, but I have this whole thing that I kind of go through before interviews. And it's just really understanding how they solve problems, because a lot of times, especially in the startup space, like you might not have even crossed this problem that we're now facing. And it's just like, we got to figure it out, And so like, how do you go and approach that into figuring it out with the knowledge that you have, or, kind of stepping outside and just kind of learning what needs to be done in order to be able to, solve it. Culture is big for us. So, somebody that can quote unquote be thrown in the fire. And I mean, we all get fearful when we get thrown in the fire, but it's just like, how do you react to that? Like, how do you ask questions, right? Are you somebody that is just going to figure it out, or you're going to act like, and then now we're digging ourselves into a ditch, like that communication is really, really important. How you communicate, that you communicate, not taking on too much, but not taking on too little at the same time. Like that can all be understood through, certain different questions and how people kind of answer things. And then, being in the startup world, you really want to know where people want to be, because it's an exchange. Like, yeah, I'm looking for individuals to add value to, the team and like our growth, but I'm also, as a founder, seeing how I could help you develop, right? How could I put you in atmospheres where maybe you're uncomfortable, but you grow, or maybe it's spaces that you want to develop into, like we have an individual that is super, super technical sound, right? And like can figure out anything, but wants to get exposure to the business world. And so like, could I potentially put you in a position to be able to get that? So it's just really understanding where, what growth means for you, where you see yourself. And then, just figuring out how they figure out how to solve problems.
That's awesome. Very valuable. I hope we put some of those nuggets in our chat too. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to bounce back to you as we wrap up a bit, and thank you for all of these gems. But where is BatteryXchange going? What's next for you all? How do we follow along with what's happening? What's happening next?
Yeah, we're gonna take over the world, right?
Yeah.
No.
But besides that.
Right. Like I said, 2021 is gonna be a big year for us, because we spent all of last year really developing this new product, developing this new software. And that's one of the things that I think people need to understand is like any tech or just like, entrepreneurial space and all, is just like things take time, like as an entrepreneur, like I always want to rush things, but development of a application takes time, and it's going to be longer than what you think. Raising capital takes time, and it's just developing a team, having all these different things are just really, really important. But for us, Q1, Q2 is going to be really focused in the Charlotte market, and having our kiosk machines in the market, really allowing individuals to understand how our product works, educating people, having awareness, having it in different businesses, seeing that usage metrics. So, if anybody knows any businesses or any, potential connections in the market within the region, that would be great. But also, then moving into the other cities within the region, I think, South Carolina, obviously, DC, Atlanta, Virginia, those are some different markets that we kind of want to scale to. And then we'll be raising some more capital to be able to kind of, obviously expand to those different markets. But I think another thing is just like, word of mouth, looking at our product, like we're pretty active on social media. So we share a lot on like Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. So, you could sign up to be a part of our newsletters where we just share, hey, like we're in this market, we're in this location, we're, doing this feature. Those are just things that we, love to share with our community, because our community is what has built us over the last 2 years. One of the coolest things that I've really appreciated is people seeing us 2 years ago and remember when we had this like toaster oven type thing and we put it out into the market to what we have now, which is really sleek and really cool looking, and just believing that we can make this happen. We can start from zero, then go to one, and then focus on growth, product market fit, and then potentially scale to some different markets. So that's what's next for us. And I'm always here and easily easily accessible for the most part, whether it's social media or just email, in order to lend a hand. Potentially we are looking for some junior developers because we have some features and some development we want to do over the next few months. So we will be hiring individuals. So if anybody's interested, that's definitely an open door as well. Definitely got to throw that out there. But yeah, that's just a little bit about what's next for us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I am going to open up the floor for any questions that we have. And while we're doing that, Desmond, I definitely like to leave off with like an inspirational moment, something to get our learners motivated, something to get, okay. Answer that question in a second. Our learners motivated, our community motivated. So I'd love to hear about just in general, what is inspiring to you this month, because we did focus this feature as our Black History Month feature, but of course it's relevant information all year. But I just wanted to touch on that briefly. What in that space of Black History Month, kind of touching on where we've come as a people, is inspiring to you in your field, in your work?
I think, over the last year has punched us in the gut as a people of a whole, right? In order to change some things up, right? Things were just like unfair and not how it should be. And I feel encouraged and motivated from the founder communities that I'm a part of people that look like me, that are working on some phenomenal jobs and opportunity, or like jobs, companies that I believe, over the next few years, the right resources and the right funding is going to be funneled into these communities so that we could see more and more successful, African American led companies, Latino led companies, or Latinx led companies, women led companies. And I feel like we needed to, again, unfortunately, right, because we had to, go through some uncomfortable times. But I think there's just been this awakening. And so, I'm in conversation with a lot of different organizations and companies now that are being a lot more intentional. So, I think throughout Black History Month, you learn about different products and different things that were invented by, Black entrepreneurs and Black inventors. And I think we're in a day and age where we're going to see that expounded upon and being done in the next few years. And I'm motivated, and that's why I get up and just keep going, because I'm a part of that. And then my hope is that like my journey inspires the next phase of entrepreneurs to kind of move forward. So
that's awesome. And I definitely think you are doing that work for sure. And I'll piggyback off of that and plug SC Codes as we follow our Tech Tuesdays are actually highlighting Black tech people from every scope. So tech in medicine, tech in gaming, tech in whatever. So we're trying to highlight those people as well. And I definitely would agree with you there that we are standing on the shoulders of people before us and trying to make them proud as well. So from the chat, we have a question, which is, how should we get in touch with you if we want to learn more about junior development positions, and what languages specifically are you looking for?
Yeah, so Java right now, so pretty basic. Like it's nothing too crazy. Java, HTML, and then we are moving into some Python languages. So if you have a little bit more experience, that would be needed as well. And then our email is charge@batteryexchange.co. And then on social media, it's BatteryXchange_. So you could always, reach out to us on there. But we currently have an application live, and we're just looking to add some additional things to that. So
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Any other questions that we may have in the chat? And while we look for those, I would just again thank you for sharing your story with us. So many congratulations sent your way for all the things that you're doing and all the things that you will do. Bigger congratulations on the new addition to your family. I'm sure that has totally changed that motivation factor, like you mentioned. And just we'll definitely want to stay in touch with you as SC Codes grows and as we watch BatteryXchange grow as well. Another question actually just came in. What was the scariest part of becoming an entrepreneur in tech, and how did you overcome it?
Scariest part is coming back to America and, having this MBA and having this like corporate experience, and risking it all for this business. Literally, I had just gotten married, so it's just like you think about what you want to do and provide for your family. And honestly, it was just the scariest time of my life because I didn't know if it was going to work or not, and so I think just through this journey that allowed me to get more comfortable with taking risks because it's kind of working out now, and the more and more you put yourself in those uncomfortable positions, like when you're met with those, risks that need to be taken, you're just confident now, and so that was the scariest time of my life where I didn't know what was going to go on. I didn't even know if we were going to be able to get this to market or even develop a product. So, but I got through it and I'm still here, 2.5 years later. So that's just motivation to just keep going, but definitely scariest time of my life.
That is awesome. I thought of a question actually, Desmond, as I was reviewing some of your experiences and qualifications, where I noticed that you had served as a mentor to some people throughout your time in your role now. So there are mentors on the SC Codes platform. And so what would be your advice to someone who is thinking about mentoring, but may not be sure if it's either the right fit, if they're going to make a big enough impact, if they have the time, just kind of being hesitant about mentoring, like you said, that next generation of coders in our sense, or developers in our sense, but just in general?
I'm gonna say this and I hope it connects, but that's just because like I'm definitely spiritually led. I always think that you give more to the world than you expect to receive, and you'll never be without, right? And so what I mean by that is it does take time to be a mentor. You'll impact lives, you'll influence so many people, and I've been a mentor in the space. But when it comes a time for my opportunities and my next step, I believe it's because of what the time and the energy that I invest in other people, why those kind of present themselves. So as a mentor, I think that's the knowledge that you should go into it with. Like I'm given, and it is a sacrifice, but when it is your time, you're gonna be fine, And then also, I think it's always cool when mentees come back and just say, "Hey, you impacted my life in this way. I learned from you from that." And there's just so much conversation that you don't even know that you just give off. And it's just like, man, you're helping an individual get through their career. A lot of people are coming from different careers, going into new ones, and you just like helping them out. So it's just I wish there were more people like that had just that mental capacity for like being mentors, to be honest.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And that is a message to everyone out there thinking about mentoring at this time. Desmond says, just jump in. Perfect. Well, I think that we have gotten our questions in. Thank you all out there who are watching who submitted questions. Thank you again, Desmond, for sharing some time with us. One more time, tell us where we can find you on the web, just so that we have that in.
Yep.
Other than that, thank you, Desmond. I'll throw it to you for any last words.
Yeah, so BatteryXchange.co is our website. And then on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, it's BatteryXchange_. And then, just reach out to us, follow our journey, sign up for our newsletter. We're doing some really, really cool things, and we just want to continue to build our community.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone out there, for joining. I hope you have a wonderful evening or whenever you're watching this again. Thank you for spending a little time with SC Codes today, and we will see you back here again for another edition of Mentor Monday. Thank you, Desmond.
The pleasure is all mine.